We've heard it before. Fad diets don't work. So why are millions of people still on them? Here to talk more about that is endocrinologist Dr. Samar Bursheh, owner of Nutriamed Metabolic and Lifestyle Center in Egg Harbor Township. So what is the deal with fad diets? They promise so much and yet they don't always deliver.
So a lot of empty promises. I agree with you on this, Robin. So definition of fad diet, it's a diet that is popular for a short period of time and does not meet standard dietary recommendations. They often make unrealistic claims about quick weight loss and health benefits, and they are usually not supported by scientific evidence. So this is the actual medical definition about what fad diets are. I always love to add on this as well. They're very expensive and they're not sustainable.
Yes, that's the bottom line. All right, when we say they don't work, okay, maybe they work for the short term. Maybe you lose some weight. But what ends up happening is once people go off of them, there should never be on and off, but they go off of them, they gain all the weight back and more. So it becomes a yo-yo dieting cycle, and then it makes it more difficult for your body.
Yes, it actually can ruin a lot of your metabolic functions, normal and physiological metabolic functions. So before I dig into some of the fad diets and what they are and why they don't work, I do want to review some of the 2021 dietary guidelines to improve cardiovascular health. These were published in the journal Circulation, which is an American Heart Association journal in 2021. So these are recent guidelines. So the bottom line is these guidelines review everything we know, but probably we don't apply a lot of. So just in summary, these guidelines encourage people to eat more fruits and vegetables, of course, in moderation, but more plant-forward pattern of eating. So the guidelines are not diets. They focus more on patterns, and that's what we should be focusing on. What pattern of eating am I following, a healthy or a less healthy? Other parts of the guideline encourage people to include whole grains, lean protein, specifically plant-based protein, using liquid plant oils like olive oil and avocado oil, and avoiding more saturated animal and plant oils like coconut oil. Using minimally processed foods, so stay away from ultra processed foods, little or no salt. And if you're not a drinker, don't start. If you do, then limiting your alcohol intake and substituting with other low calorie, healthier options is always encouraged. Focus on fiber. And there's a lot of focus on activity and movement in these guidelines. So
Also, when it comes to fad diets, as I said earlier, it's not a start and stop. We should really be thinking about eating and fitness as a lifestyle, something that we incorporate into our lives. It's not just something that we just do for a short period of time. What's the point of that?
Correct. And that's why I wanted to mention the guidelines today, is because they've been studied in research. Physicians believe in them. They're being backed up with tons and tons of evidence. There's so many articles in American Heart Association, in Endocrine Society, even in a lot of the GI societies about the benefit of following healthier eating patterns that are not emitting a group of macronutrients. And that's what fad diets do. Most of the time, they eliminate a group or two of macronutrients, or they eliminate important nutritious calories.
All meat, or eat bananas all day long, or whatever. The grapefruit diet. Yeah.
So if you're incorporating healthy carbohydrates like whole grains and carbohydrates from fruits and vegetables in the right quantities, if you're incorporating these types of carbohydrates, they should not induce weight gain, specifically if you're eating the right quantities, the right quality, and at the right timing.
But we are a quick fix nation. We are always looking for that quick fix, the immediate gratification. I always say to people, did it take you 4 weeks to gain 40 pounds? Why would it take you 4 weeks to lose 40 pounds? I mean, think about that realistically and what's best for your body. You don't want to do a crash type of diet.
Correct. It's an accumulation lifestyle. over so many years and multiple other factors. So eliminating a food group or reducing calories in an exponential way is not the way to go in most cases. We actually just need to reteach our system how to accept and how to identify with healthier eating patterns. And over time, your body will reset into this new, healthier routine and threshold, and it will become a much better machine. I love to use this word machine about the body because I always feel the body is a car.
Yes.
And if you don't take care of this machine, you only have one body. You're not going to be able to maintain your organs properly. And healthy eating patterns, including healthy carbohydrates, healthy proteins, specifically plant forward ones, and proteins that are very rich with omega-3, like fish and seafood, enhance organ function and enhance muscle function, heart function, and longevity. And the same thing applies to healthy fats. If we're focusing on fats that comes from nuts, fats that are coming from healthy oils like olive oil and avocado oil, they nourish your brain, they nourish your heart. They're very important for prevention of disease later on in life.
Yes, fats get a bad reputation, so do carbohydrates. But I think the bottom line, what you're trying to say is we want a well-rounded, healthy, whole food diet. That is the best way to go about it. And it's not a stop and start thing. There's room for a treat every now and then, of course. But if we restrict ourselves too much, it's human nature. That's when we want it more. And when people go off of a diet, quote unquote, that's when they eat everything in sight because they weren't allowed to have it. When you say not allowed, that's when you want it.
Yep. And you get a rebound effect. The body does not like, it does not like no. It's just like little kids. When you say no. So there's always a rebound effect. And I'm going to go a little bit into detail if we have time on 3 of the most famous fad diets. I would love to start with the keto diet. That's the one. And I call it the keto diet trend, not necessarily a diet, because it's probably not going to be followed or there forever. It's a fad. It's going to go away eventually. So keto diet trend is represented by a high fat, low carbohydrate style of eating. The carbohydrates are less than 20 grams per day. So that's actually less than an apple. Modifications, some people do modifications, and that's when the carbohydrate count is less than 50 grams per day. There's some other modification details we're not going to go into, but I'm going to describe what the strengths. I mean, everything has strengths and limitations. So the strengths in a keto diet is it does help reduce sugar and refine carbohydrate consumption. It can encourage increase in fiber, but it's not plant-based fiber. It's actually synthetic processed fiber. It does give you quick, short-term weight loss for sure, but we don't want to forget it's short-term weight loss. Limitations is it is extremely high in saturated fat. And I always can pick up my patients on keto diet just by looking at their cholesterol profile.
Wow, that's kind of scary to think about that. They do that to themselves because I thought they were doing something helpful.
Absolutely. Specifically, patients with cardiovascular disease who are on multiple medications to try and lower the cholesterol, it's not necessarily the way to go. It's not a very heart-friendly type of eating or pattern of eating. It also restricts healthy plant-based protein like lentils and beans, restricts beneficial fruit. We have a lot of fruit that has tons of antioxidants. So you're really not getting your antioxidants from any plant-based foods.
You have to think about nutrients too. We're not just, it shouldn't just be about weight loss. It should be about health. That's nutritious really the bottom
food,
line. Yes.
The nutritious food that loves your body. So this way your body can love you.
Yes. I mean, it's energy, it's your skin, it's your metabolism, it's everything. And it shouldn't just be about the number on the scale. In fact, I think it should be the other way around. Eat healthy and you will lose weight, not try to lose weight, fitting yourself into this certain eating, fad diet.
Correct. So some people do use modified keto. It always has to be under medical supervision because it's not easy to work with a higher fat, lower carb menu or choices specifically with the produce and the abundance of carbs around us. So I always encourage, if you want to do keto and if you feel this is the right choice for you, you have to work with, number one, a nutritionist and your physician. You need to be very well monitored, and it can be modified. It could be a low carb versus a keto type of eating trend or diet.
And then what are the next most popular fad diets?
Intermittent fasting.
Oh, yes.
So intermittent fasting can be defined as limiting your eating to time frames. That's kind of the simple definition. But if I'm going to go into details, it has about a couple of different styles. I'm going to go into three. So time restricted is the 16 and 8, which means you eat in 8 hours and you restrict eating in 16 hours. Alternate day is the 5 and 2, which is the ad lib and restricted eating or fasting. And then the 1 meal a day. So strengths of this type of fad diet. The intermittent fasting can improve mindful eating, especially the 16 and 8, and can reduce night snacking. I actually encourage my patients to use the 16 and 8. I'm a big believer that this is more physiologic. If you look back at our ancestors, they used to wake up when the sun rises. They used to go to bed with nightfall. So they already had a lot of restricted eating. They kind of unintentionally followed the intermittent fasting, which I think is very healthy, as long as you're taking a good amount of nutritious calories and hydration during the 8 hours that you're allowing yourself to eat to nourish your body. And then you give yourself a rest. You give your pancreas and liver a rest during the night hours or the afternoon hours. So that's a strength for the 16 and 8.
But what about when it's so restrictive? Really restricting yourself.
So the 5 and 2 is extremely restrictive. Plus, it does not teach you mindful eating because you're allowed to do ad lib. Yes, overall, some people eat less even with
what's 5 and 2? What is 5 and 2?
The 5 and 2 is when you do like 2 days of feasting and 5 days of fasting, or vice versa. So most people do it on an alternate day. So one day they eat whatever they want, up to 2,000 calories. The second day they do 500 calories, and they alternate the days.
No, I don't
think this teaches mindful eating, because you're really very restrictive one day. And the idea is to help relax and give a break to your pancreas, which works. But is this really a long-term solution? No, it's not a long-term solution. And how much mindfulness is this teaching us? So I feel it defeats the purpose.
Yes. And 500 calories. I mean, my God, that's one meal basically.
Yes. And it's not one type of, and it's not, a good type of eating pattern for patients, for example, on insulin, patients on blood pressure medication. So you need to shift so many things around it. You need to shift your exercise around it as well. Not the most ideal and not really sustainable.
Yes. And that's really the bottom line with all of this. You got to find something that works for you, that you can live with, that you can do every day, that isn't feeling like it's something that's so restrictive that you're miserable doing it. I mean,
it's not punishment.
It shouldn't be punishment. It should be something you're really happy about, that you're feeding your body nutritious food and you're running your machine, as you like to call it, much better. And it is an amazing machine, but we need to take care of it. It's really a blessing to have good health. If you have good health, it's something very precious, and it's something we should really focus on and be mindful of and take care of it, and not, make choices that are not, in line with taking care of that amazing machine.
Absolutely. And it might take longer to lose the weight and maybe get healthier if you're eating all the colors of the rainbow, if you're not restricting macronutrients. If you're not restricting a carbohydrate, for example, it might take a little bit longer to lose the weight, but eventually, once your body learns to go above that threshold,
yes. Isn't it also true, Dr. Bursheh, that when you lose weight faster, you your body doesn't adjust as well. In other words, if you do it more slowly, doesn't your metabolism and your body sort of adjust, and it's easier to keep it off as opposed to losing it quickly?
Correct, because your body's constantly in an argument with itself when you lose weight. Humans are so used to starving from older days, from ancient days, because we were a group of collectors, correct? And hunters. And hunting was not an easy thing to do. Food was not abundant in the past.
Mm-hmm.
So you ate whenever you had foods available, and most of them were organic. I would say they ate like 1,000 years ago, people used to eat organic.
Yes.
And they also used to eat fresh, collected.
Yeah, they farm their own food many
They
times.
farm
Yeah.
their own food. When agriculture came along and foods became more genetically modified and in abundance, what happens is this hormonal balance that allows your body to save calories for times of food deficiency and starvation did not change. So your food is used to store everything you eat. Every
Yes.
calorie is going to be stored because the body's always looking for those days of starvation. So when you starve yourself, your body's going to always fight back to try and bring back your weight to its what it thinks normal threshold, which is for someone, for example, with a BMI of 30 or 31. Your body always thinks this is where I need to bring them back.
Right.
So it's slow and steady. You slowly are
Wins the race.
readjusting and rewriting the program in your brain, in your hypothalamus, in your muscle memory, in your fat cells to allow your body to really just let go of this weight. And then this is when you start seeing the benefits. Again, it might take longer, but it's more steady.
So we talked about keto, intermittent fasting, and you had a third?
Detox. Detox and
Detox.
cleansing diets. Yes. So detox and cleansing diets, I think, came up with a good intention, but I don't think the application was healthy. So the idea behind them is having a juice cleanse, like 1 to 10 days of juice only, usually lemon with water, plus minus ginger and herbs. The purpose is to decrease calorie intake and replace a meal or cleansing the body from toxins. So in my opinion, the best way to cleanse your body from toxins is to eat healthy every day. And that's when your liver resets itself. And this is actually when your liver starts shrinking because it starts losing all the oil droplets that are stored excessively in the liver and around it. So this is when your liver actually starts shedding these oil droplets and starts shrinking. That's how you can detoxify the liver. Adding a juice made of water and ginger to your daily, for example, drinking it in the morning before your breakfast, I think it's a great way to start your day. It's extremely hydrating. It might limit your calorie intake, but it should not be the sole substance or food or fluid that you intake the whole day.
Okay.
Because then we're going back to the starvation mode.
Sure. And while we're on the topic of eating healthy and whole foods, it's been all over the news. Additives in our foods, red dye 40, all these different, extra additives that many European countries have either restricted or banned from their food source. And yet here we are in the United States with these different additives in foods we feed to our children, cereals, baked goods, so many prepackaged foods. It's
correct.
Terrible for us. And could you just talk to that for a minute?
Of course. So these are ultra toxic materials. Your body does not break them down. We don't have the enzymes to break down dyes, toxins, and extremely modified bread like gluten, for example. The bread or the wheat that we use for bread is completely different than ancient wheats. It has tons of gluten and other toxins. Cereal has a lot of dyes and toxins. Your body does not have enzymes and does not have the proper pathways to get rid of these toxins. So what they do is they're going to cause disease, inflammation. They're going to accumulate in certain organs. They're going to increase the risk of, and they're very processed, of course, they're going to increase the risk of cancers, allergies, food allergies, gastrointestinal illnesses, cardiovascular disease, and diabetes. So definitely I really
One,
hope.
one thing we can all do right now is read labels. Don't just throw food in
Yes.
your cart willy-nilly.
Yes.
Read a label. Do
Read
yourself
a
a
label,
favor.
try to prep a lot of things at home. It's really not difficult. We've been giving
Mm.
a lot of cooking classes, Nutriamed, and I was a little bit shocked that some people or a lot of people still don't know how to use a knife. But then through the class, during the class, they learned that it's not difficult. It actually saves you time from going to the grocery store and buying all that stuff. Some meals just take you about 10-15 minutes. It's healthier, it's more nourishing, and because you're cooking the food, you don't consume huge amounts.
Yes,
So it
you
also
control the
minimizes your
ingredients. I would
calorie
say I
intake.
lost weight over COVID. Some people put on weight because they were home eating, but because we didn't go out to dinner,
Yes.
I really controlled everything that went into my body. And it was amazing how, I mean, I love to go out to dinner just like everybody else, but they certainly don't care about how many calories. They just want it to taste good. So when you're eating out, you generally will overeat or have, extra butter or whatever that you might not eat at home if you're eating
Right.
healthy. And you
Yeah.
can
And it's
control it
okay.
and you
It's
can make
okay
it
every
taste
now
good.
and then.
Of
Yeah.
course.
It's
Yes.
okay every now and then. It's actually fun, but most of the meals should be prepped at home, or at least, if not, choose something that is minimally processed, not ultra processed. If something is ultra processed, it is not good for you. It's going to cause a huge amount of chronic illnesses, and it's going to affect lifespan.
That
So,
is so true. And that's what you teach at Nutrimed. That's what I love about your cooking classes there. They're not just cooking classes, they're knowledge sessions. You learn about nutrition when you're in one of your classes. They're a lot of fun, but they're also great for people to really take home knowledge and use these new skills and new information to make better and healthier meals, better choices for themselves.
yes, and it brings the family together. I feel prepping meals at home is one way you show your family love by preparing nourishing
Yes.
meals.
And no one's busier than you. I mean, you're a doctor, you own a business, you've got a lot going on, you have kids, and yet you still find time to cook and make food because you understand the importance of that and how,
Home cooking.
vital it is to teaching your children about
Yeah.
living a healthy lifestyle and feeding your family nourishing foods. And it's not as hard and not as time consuming as people think.
Correct. Most of my meals during the day take a max of 20 minutes.
Yeah,
So, but
right.
it teaches your children. You brought a very important point. It teaches your children how to eat properly and to start making right choices. Children don't necessarily only learn by reading, they actually learn by imitating their parents or the adults in the
That is
house.
so true. I always say you can't tell your kids not to smoke with a cigarette hanging out of your mouth. It just doesn't work. You have to live what you tell them because it's just
Yeah.
they watch you more than you think.
Yes, they do watch and they learn from us,
Absolutely.
from
All
parents.
good tips. So bottom line, no fad diets. It's healthy eating. Read the labels. Let's do it for the new year. Make some changes.
Yeah.
It's not an on again, off again thing. It's a lifestyle, and that's what we have to embrace.
Yes. So I mean, the best thing I could say is the best eating pattern is what works for you. It is the healthy eating pattern that encourages sustenance, increases movement, improves quality of life, and prevents diseases. Focus on long-term success and goals and longevity. It should not be the diet. It should be the eating pattern.
I love that. I don't even like the word diet really because,
No.
people go, diet, I
Yeah.
love that eating plan, eating diet, nutrition plan, whatever you want to call it. Such a better way of looking at it because it's sort of like, a lifestyle thing. It's a choice you make to live a certain lifestyle. So
It's a choice you make.
absolutely. And it's
Yes.
an important choice. Keep that
Yes.
machine running. It's the only one we've got. So thank you so much,
My
Dr.
pleasure.
Samar Bursheh, endocrinologist and owner of Nutriamed Metabolic and Lifestyle Center in Egg Harbor Township, New Jersey. And thank you for joining me today for Living Well with Robin Stoloff. See you next time.